All right, let's jump right in. We're talking about a really important topic today: artificial intelligence, the FDA, and you. At the heart of it all is one big question. As AI makes its way into our hospitals and doctors' offices, how do we make absolutely sure that it's safe? We're going to break down the new rules designed to do just that.
I mean, just think about that for a second. An AI, an algorithm, is helping your doctor make a call about your health. The stakes just don't get any higher than that. So how can we be totally confident that this AI is ready, that it's not just smart, but also safe and reliable every single time?
Well, because building this stuff is incredibly complex. It's not a simple A to B process. You're looking at a whole journey, an 8-step minefield, from the first idea all the way to maintaining it in the real world. Every single step has to be carefully watched. A tiny error at any stage could have huge consequences for a patient down the line. And that complexity, that's exactly why we need a clear and simple rulebook.
Now, in this whole story, there are really two key players on the front lines. On one side, you have the innovators. These are the brilliant researchers and developers, the people actually building these incredible AI tools. And on the other side, you've got the gatekeepers. These are the institutional review boards, or IRBs, and their entire job is to be the protectors of patients, making sure all research is ethical and, most importantly, safe.
So you have your innovators and your gatekeepers. But now, both of these groups are facing a brand new challenge. The FDA has just rolled out a completely new rulebook for them to follow.
And here it is. It's called the Quality Management System Regulation, or QMSR for short. This is a huge deal. It's the FDA's big move to modernize the rules for all medical devices, and that includes AI software. The main goal? To get U.S. standards in sync with the rest of the world, making things clearer and more consistent for everyone.
So what's actually changing? Well, the old way was kind of clunky and US-specific. It had its own lingo, its own rules, which meant if you wanted to sell your device in other countries, you often had to do a bunch of extra, duplicative work. The new QMSR, it's just smarter. It aligns with a global standard everyone already uses. This means less paperwork, clearer language, and a streamlined process. It's really an upgrade that makes things both more efficient and safer.
Okay, so we've got a complex technology and a whole new set of pretty dense regulations. How in the world do you navigate all that? Well, thankfully, there's a guide. A simple, straightforward framework built for one thing: safety.
And this quote really gets to the heart of the problem, The gatekeepers, these IRBs, they're experts in medicine and ethics, but most of them aren't software engineers. So how are they supposed to look at a super complex AI algorithm and confidently say, yep, this is safe? How do they know it's been built correctly? That's the billion-dollar question. And the answer is the simple but really powerful 3-stage framework. It boils the whole complicated process down to 3 common-sense stages. Stage 1 is all about the design. Did you plan this out correctly from the very beginning? Stage 2 is validation. Okay, does this thing actually do what you claim it does? And stage 3 is deployment. Is it ready for real patients? And what's your plan to keep an eye on it once it's out there?
And here is the magic trick. This framework isn't just some nice idea. It's a super practical tool because it maps directly onto those new, complicated FDA regulations. Each stage, design, validation, and deployment, lines up perfectly with specific parts of the QMSR. It basically acts as a translator, turning dense legalese into a simple, actionable checklist that both the innovators and the gatekeepers can actually use.
So that's the theory. But does this framework actually work in the real world? Let's take a look at the proof.
So let's look at our first case study. It's an AI designed to predict sepsis, a really dangerous, life-threatening condition in the chaos of an emergency room. In a place like that, you need to be fast, and you absolutely need to be right. For this sepsis AI, the framework gave everyone a clear roadmap. In Stage 1, the IRB checked the plans and made sure the data used to train the AI was high quality. Then, in Stage 2, they put the algorithm through its paces, testing it against the goals they set from the start. Only after it passed with flying colors could it even think about moving to Stage 3 for clinical use. This whole process created a clear, reviewable trail, and it's a good thing it did, because that's when they found something really important.
Right here, in the validation stage, the system worked exactly like it was supposed to. The review board found a serious problem. The AI was a full 10% less accurate for Black patients than for white patients. When you're dealing with a life-or-death condition like sepsis, that's not just a statistical gap. That's a dangerous, unacceptable flaw.
But here's the beauty of it. Because they had this structured framework, they didn't just find the problem, they forced a solution.
the IRB hit the brakes. They sent the innovators back to the drawing board to retrain the algorithm with better, more diverse data. And then they had to prove, through another round of validation, that the bias was gone. Only then, only after it was proven to work safely and equitably for everybody, did it get the green light.
Now, that sepsis AI story is a huge success for patient safety. But it really makes you stop and think, what could have happened if that structured framework wasn't in place?
Well, the first big risk is what you might call a false sense of security. It's that dangerous place where everyone just assumes something is safe, but nobody has actually verified it.
Think about it. Without a clear checklist to follow, an oversight board might just tick a box, assuming the developers did their job. But beneath the surface, that AI could be a ticking time bomb, trained on biased data with risks nobody ever bothered to look for. And in the end, it's the patients who are exposed to a system that got approved but was never really tested properly.
And here's another scary real-world example. There was an AI for cancer treatment that was designed to learn as it went, but it started learning the wrong things. It began recommending treatments for elderly patients that were way too aggressive, and it actually caused harm. This is exactly why that ongoing monitoring in stage 3 is so critical, to catch this kind of algorithmic drift before it hurts more people.
And that brings us to the second major risk, unchecked learning AI. An algorithm that can change on its own is powerful, but its performance can also drift into dangerous territory over time. Without a plan for how to manage these changes, that drift can go completely unnoticed. The framework forces the innovators to create something called a Predetermined Change Control Plan, or PCCP. It's basically a safety manual that sets triggers to automatically pause the AI if its performance starts to slip.
And the power of this framework isn't just for things like sepsis or cancer. It's flexible. You could apply it to cutting-edge tech, like a new generative AI chatbot for mental health. By using the same 3 stages, the gatekeepers could immediately see the huge risks, data privacy, the chance of the chatbot giving harmful advice, and stop an unproven tool from being used on a vulnerable group of students.
So let's pull all of this together. What's the big takeaway here? At the end of the day, it's all about finding that critical, sometimes difficult balance between pushing amazing innovation forward and guaranteeing patient safety.
So why does all this matter so much? Look, the FDA has officially raised the bar on safety with the new QMSR. This simple 3-stage framework takes those complicated rules and makes them doable. It gives innovators and their oversight boards a common language, a shared checklist, so they can collaborate instead of clashing. And ultimately, having a structured, verifiable process like this is the only way we're going to unlock the incredible, life-saving potential of AI in medicine safely.
Which really leaves us with one final and pretty crucial question to think about for the future. As these AI systems get even smarter, as they start to learn and adapt all on their own, will our safety rules, our frameworks, be able to keep up? That's something we're all going to need to watch very, very closely.